Properly sorted, it may be my plan to spoil its afternoon. You're running. I know, but you'll see. Got to get down to this corner before he gets back. What is it? It's all palm oil, very slippery. The revenge of the Indian farmer.
Hello, hi everyone.
Good
Hello,
evening,
Salim.
everyone. How are we doing?
Good.
Very good, very good.
Hi Robert. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I hope
Good.
you guys are all doing well as well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Dr.
Yes,
Khalaf
yes.
Allah, Dr. Hussein. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, we will get started here in just
Yeah.
one moment. Okay. All right, so we're all in here now. Thank you guys all for attending. I appreciate it very much. I would like to give a special shout out to our friends out in Egypt who encouraged us, who encouraged us to essentially bring this over and share this farmer information so we can make sure everyone gets the opportunity to get information, which is great to see. So thank you guys very much. But as I said, I would like to take the time to thank everyone here for attending our first seminar intended for the Middle East. We're happy to continue these seminars for farmers around the world so we can continue to share valuable insights and help all levels of the value chain succeed. I would also like to give a special shout out to our media partner, Aqua Indonesia, as they too recognize the importance of sharing information and promoting farmer success stories for all to learn from. Of course, the session will be recorded and distributed after the event, so if you need to hop in or out, no worries. You will still be able to access all the information shared. Lastly, we took all comments and questions submitted and have the most prevalent ones and the most popular ones at the end of the presentation, and we'll be sure to go through all of those. So what that means is I please ask you to refrain from speaking out during the presentation so we can give our speakers the proper respect and make sure everyone gets to listen in on their valuable insights. So without further ado, let's begin this. Thank you all. And now I will begin presenting a little bit about API. So API, we are a shrimp broodstock company. Our focus is going to be on genetics and particularly shrimp that are selected for high survival. We have high genetic diversity to ensure superior animals' fitness and health in a large variety of pond structures and elements. We have a very strong animal. The offspring that we select are well suited, and through our genetic analysis, we're able to give farmers the best animals for their conditions. We are constantly pre-selecting for new challenges that you may face in your environment, which gives the farmers the best chance as our animals are more adaptable to whether it's elements of weather or disease or anything like that. So what we'd like to talk about a little bit today are our new API genetic lines. The first one is going to be our API Fire Dragon. This is going to be our disease-tolerant line. Performs best in low densities, and it handles environmental changes very well. And what you'll notice with it is a very bright red coloration. That's due to the ability to absorb the astaxanthin from the environment very, very well. We're noticing a lot of good success with this animal in Thailand and Belize, as VJ will talk about a little bit later. And we're very, very confident in this animal's ability to be a strong one for your ponds. The API Golden Dragon will be more of our balanced line, designed for higher densities, and it's giving farmers excellent survival and growth and very good water conditions. They also show an ease of mating, and they're producing very fast growing larvae. So again, higher stocking densities, which we're seeing a lot in all over the world. And we're very excited to see what this line is going to do for us moving forward. So this is just a little bit of introduction on these two lines. If you would like more information, please feel free to reach out to us after the seminar, and we'll be happy to talk to you more about it. So I have a little video here about our new fire line. So we'll play this really quick. So very exciting stuff. I think it highlights a lot of the key points that we're trying to promote with our fire line. Again, it's going to be a disease tolerant and a very strong, hardy animal for your guys' ponds. So moving forward, we're going to talk to our presenters now. Oh, excuse me, one more slide. So the purpose of these seminars is to spread information throughout the value chain, right? And online is an awesome way to do it and connect large amounts of people all around the world. What we've recently started doing as well are in-person seminars, as you can see here with our photo of India. So with these seminars, we're able to meet directly with the farmers and learn directly what they need in their ponds. And they're able to ask us very good questions. And we notice a lot of great success from these. So if you feel that the farmers in your area may benefit from a more hands-on approach, then this is absolutely something that we can continue to look at doing for you guys. Simply reach out and we can look to schedule one as soon as possible. So without further ado, we have our guest speakers today, Vijay Kumar Kalapalli, Gary Gilang, and Barry Amru. Now, Barry is going to start first and talk a little bit about receiving API broodstock for hatcheries.
All right.
So, Barry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for have this seminar with you. Maybe because we concentrate on the Middle East, that I can say that Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
all right. So I will start with receiving API broodstock. On this, maybe we can start. API is a unique. This is a strong animal, according to the experience that I have when receiving broodstock for Indonesia, especially, and Malaysia, and something from Thailand also. So as we receive the broodstock, there is acclimation. This is very important because our broodstock go to the long journey, like 40 plus hour. So this is 4 key parameters that we have to monitor and we receiving the broodstock. The first two, temperature and pH, is the very important, and then the third, salinity and the DO. So we can go next. Let's start with the temperature and pH. So the temperature is actually when we pack at our facility in Florida, that we lower the temperature to 17 or 18 degrees Celsius and expected to arrive around 20 degrees Celsius or less. But this experience make a very good manageable during the transport. So on our facility to Miami export and then to connecting, normally that we use airline, that airline already know how to handle it. But when we receiving in our final airport, that is also some important information that we have to receive, like the temperature when they arrive and then how we handle it. So and then during acclimation, this is an issue. So when we calculate, normally that when we receive 19 degree, 20 degree, or 21 degree, still tolerable. But when you raise until 22 degree, now we have a problem. Because in the bag, there is high ammonia. And then when the temperature getting high, like 21, 22 or more, then the toxics level become very, very danger to the animal. All right. And then pH. pH, this is also the very important during the acclimation. At the packing that we set the 7.8, but after 48 hours or more, that the pH may drop to 6.7. So when we doing this, that normally when we receive in our tank, when during we do acclimation, that we lower the pH, and then the pH will go up slowly according to the animal. Okay, next. Next. This is the pH table related to the transport time. You can see, so the longer time, the pH can be go lower. So I have experienced this, when receiving broodstock, one of my clients say, this is only, he lowered the pH in the tank to 7. But I said, it is impossible because it is more than 48 hours. So how many? He said that. I said that it will be 6.7 or below. And then when they calculate, we got 6.5. And then what he do? He lowered the pH into 6.5. So
I think we lost you there, Barry, for a second.
okay, somebody mute me.
Oh, no worries.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess good reminder. Please, everyone, stay on mute so we can give Barry the proper respect, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So because we don't want to give first temperature shock and then second pH shock to the animal. This is the very, very important when 0 hour we open our animal in the bag. Okay, we can go to the next slide. All right. When receiving shipment from the first time, after acclimation, we have to be very slow to do the acclimation, sometimes 3 hours, 4 hours. So this is a very critical time. During the first 2, 3, 4 hours is very critical time. And then don't give any feed. The first feed that you have to give is polycate. It's a polycate. So don't give anything, because my experience said when you give pellets, you give squid, they don't eat. So the first they love the feed is the food is polycate. So, but when you give the polycate, please don't give too much, because they like polycate very much. Then they are hungry after 48 hours or sometimes 60 hours. They are very, very hungry, but you have to feed them slowly. So sometimes just to give them something to eat, but not so many. Because if so many, then it will be a digest problem, because they are shocked, and then it will be also increase the mortality. So after 12 hours and then 24 hours, we see the feeding response. When we see the good response, and then we add a little bit until 72 hours. Why the feeding is very important? Because we will face the molting period. We understand that the molting period because of the moon normally, but also the broodstock face the molting period because of the stress. So when the molting period needs high energy, the broodstock do that. So give food with the right amount, and then when everyone or every stream, every broodstock eat it well, then when the molting period is success, then we already more calm down. I mean the critical time will be over. And then after that, the density when we receive in quarantine tank, the density it suggested not more than 5 breeders per meter square, because we know that if the density too high, it will be hit each other, and then also they eat not well. I mean that some broodstock will eat more, right? Some broodstock do not get it. So the stocking density also an issue. Okay, next. Next slide, please. Okay. After that, I know that this is a highlight that we can discuss furthermore in this seminar. So this is the water parameter for maturation that we need, like ammonia, that we know that we have to be have clean water for maturation, and then like ammonia below 0.5, nitrite 0.5, alkalinity is 140 plus, and pH 7.8, and salinity is 30, and then the temperature is 28.5. Of course, this is the best, I mean, from the experience, this is the best water parameter that we have. Of course, it will be some increasing or decreasing depend on the situation, but we need to discuss furthermore, like temperature. We know that the 30, 31 can do it, but the best on 28.5. But below, like, during the cold time, like 27, it can goes, but it's not optimum like we use. Okay, next. Yeah, I have some video also to, this is, I know you can, there is actually a voice, but I can explain. This is how we pack. Normally we pack 4 per bag. That is our broodstock. And then we put, this is how we do in our facility. And then this normally that our experience 48 hours arrive on the, and then this is actually around 60 hours. And then they open it, they check the temperature, the pH, the animal, and then they try to do the acclimation. You can see in the tank. So when they put into the tank, and then they wait, and then they open, they wait until the temperature from the tank, and then the bag is same. Yeah. And then after like 2 hours, they feeding. See the polychaete, they feeding. And then this, we see the animal is already less stressed. Yep. So I think it's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Then we can discuss on the Q&A session. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Very good job, Barry. Thank you very much for all of that information. Our next speaker is going to be Gary Gilang, who is a farmer in Indonesia, who's going to talk a little bit about the profitability and numbers you should look at as a farmer. Next slide here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Robert. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So the first slide I'm going to talk to you is the first fundamentals that we want to do when we do the farming with the API or any kind of genetics. I think it's very important, right? We start with the red zone area. If you can fulfill the fundamentals, right? The fundamentals is the first on the pyramid, the bottom one. If you cannot fulfill the fundamentals, then it will be very difficult to get the productivity, right? So the fundamentals that I said is the first, best water condition. It's a very important. Second, the post construction. Third is infrastructures. Fourth is a healthy PL, right? It's a must. And fifth is the manpower. If you can fulfill these fundamentals, you will get the light green area, right? The crop will be in the set quadrant. The second pyramid in the middle one is if you can fulfill this the second pyramid, you will I can say that you will achieve the fantastic crop yields. What is important? The second one is the SOP, your operating procedures and the efficiency, and the third one, additional nutrition. Maybe you want to put some probiotic, chelated minerals, antioxidants, acidifiers, etc. anything you want to put on your pond. Why I say that but you cannot get this middle pyramid without the fundamentals in the bottom ones, right? If you can fulfill the fundamentals and the second pyramid you can also fulfill it, then we can talk about the harvest strategy. Then we talk about the numbers, how to optimize your profitability, right? Applying a good harvest strategy will give you an edge on the bottom line of profitability. But if you cannot fulfill the fundamentals, you don't have good SOP efficiency, and there is no good also the additional nutrition. Forget about the harvest strategy. You have to start from the fundamentals, go up into the harvest strategy. That's what I look out every time I do my cultivations, mostly with the API. I'm a loyal customer of API, and we manage a very good Indonesia. Right. Can you go next, Robert? Next slide. Let me take you into the data, right? This data below can only be achieved when the fundamentals are met. That's you have to put on top of your mind. The comparison below is an actual example of how the same farm using two different harvest strategies can achieve different profitability. Prices are normalized to avoid bias between the two crops periods, right? If you look at the data, the PLs is the same, the FCRs, right? Crop number one quite higher, and the survival rate also slightly lower in the crop number one, and also the harvest final harvest size also quite lower on smaller on the crop number one. Can you click once, Robert? Right? Technically, crop number one had worse performance compared to crop number two. It had lower survival rate, higher FCR, and smaller average body weight. But can you go next, Robert? Below the charts are the harvest results, right? You can see that the crop number one has higher kilograms, right? Because it doesn't have the partials number three, and the harvest price quite lower because the final harvest the stream quite smaller, a little bit smaller, and but the average price crop number one has higher significantly compared to crop number two. In terms of the revenue, we compare from the parcel number one, number two, number three, and final harvest. Combined, we have the total revenue by 3.6 billion in IDR Indonesia rupiah. Can you click once, Robert? Right, this is the key financial indicators in millions rupiah. Total revenue, crop number one has higher. Total feed cost definitely higher because it has a higher FCR, and also total other production cost also higher. The total production cost is significantly higher in the crop number one, but the operating income higher on the crop number one, right? If you look at, because we managed to gain significant higher on the revenue. Can you click once, Robert? This is the gap between crop number one and crop number two. The total revenue, crop number one has a 490 million higher. Total feed cost 278 higher on the crop number one, and total other production cost 27 million higher in the crop number one. Total production cost higher by 305 million rupiah, right? But we produce EBITDA higher by 140 million. It's quite funny, right? The crop number one has a technical KPI worse in crop number two, but it produces a better profitability. Can you go ahead, Robert? Yes, financially, despite crop number one having worse technical indicators, it achieved better results on the bottom line. That's what we say, that when I is talking API, we are talking about the bottom line. We are talking about the technical indicators like survival rate, FCR, maybe average body weight, and those kind of things. But when we focus on the bottom line, we may produce different kind of harvest strategy, right? That's the reason you use the API, because the stream survive. You can play with the harvest strategy because your stream is very healthy. Your stream can survive up to 130 PLs or PCS per square meters on the 30 something size right? That's the advantage of using API. So if you use the API, you may not miss the opportunity to gain a better operating income by holding your harvest and managing your harvest strategy on a different way. It's up to you to decide which strategy suits you best. Assess your fundamental aspect of your farm and choosing the optimal harvest strategy will yield you the best result for your farm. But if I may suggest, I think I stopped API more than 70 times right now. I think you have to consider your fundamentals first. If you meet your fundamentals, then just focus on the EBITDA or operating income, right? Put second on the technical KPI like survival rate or FCR, but you can focus on your harvest strategy to optimize your profitability. Of course, this harvest strategy cannot be achieved without the fundamentals and also the efficiency, good SOP, and good nutrition. I think. Go ahead, Robert. Once. Yeah, that's all, right? If you have any question about the harvest strategy, you can ask me during the Q&A session.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Gary. It's always important to understand the numbers when you're doing this whole process. And Gary's a very smart individual when it comes to it. And if you have any questions on it, please feel free to reach out and we can be happy to elaborate more. The next speaker we will have will be Vijay, who is a farmer out in Belize, who is going to be talking about best management practices for profitable shrimp farming. So, Vijay.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. And this is Mr. Vijay Kumar Kallepalli from India. And I'm presently working in Central America, named Belize. The country name is Belize. I'm dealing here 150 acres with different stocking densities, like 10 pieces to 50 pieces density. This is my experience sharing with all the participants. And the thing is, why we are doing aquaculture means there should be some profits, sir. It should not be success, it should be profits. That is the concept base we have designed this presentation. So I'm going through this presentation, sir. Next slide. So generally, aquaculture, there is two things we have facing with all the customers, either shrimp or whatever the aquatic animal we are doing. The first one is slow growth or growth related, and survival related, like mortalities. Generally, the profit depends on these two factors. If there is good survivals, but slow growth means there is no profit, and slow survival and good growth also no profitable. So the growth and survivals are the key factors for the profitable farming. So these two are influenced by different factors. That's we want to discuss in this next coming slides. So the survival and growth troubleshoots, what are the major troubleshoots we are going to discuss? Next ones. So particularly in shrimp, generally we have some disease issues nowadays. Recent days we have EHP issues in many Asian countries, and so this EHP issue is there's a very huge losses in shrimp farming sectors, particularly India, Vietnam, Indonesia, and other countries. Mainly this EHP is a small spore that can enter with, once they enter some crops, we are losing with this EHP issue. I'm not going to detail in EHP disease wise. I'm not going to disease, just general description I'm giving. What are the factors influencing the survival and growth factors? Next ones. So this is also one biggest challenge for many farmers facing in shrimp farming sectors, that is white feces syndrome. Generally, it is not a pathogenic disease, it's system default disease. Sometimes mainly this particular syndrome mainly related to the water quality. Next one. And even this one, white gut, also related to the majority related to the water quality issues. Once the water quality deteriorated, there is some pathogens immediately enters into the, immediately activate in the systems, and we are facing white gut and white feces issues. Next one. And this is mostly deadliest virus in shrimp farming. For instance, 1903 shrimp farmings are affecting with white spot syndrome, white spot syndromes. It's a very deadliest, and this is combines with Vibrio. It's more huge losses and huge losses in the shrimp sectors. Next one. This is the very common disease in all sectors, mainly vibriosis, because Vibrio is generally available in all water bodies, particularly the pathogenic bacteria causes some deadliest sudden mortalities occurs within the like EMS and Vibrio outbreaks. We could see 90% mortality within 2-3 days. Next, sir. And running mortality, this is completely, we can say it is in a system default, because the running mortality mainly causing by the toxic gases, sir. We are discussing three things. One is a pathogenic, the one is system default. This is also system default with mainly toxic related issues, mainly ammonia and hydrogen sulfide. So the ammonia and the hydrogen sulfides are two deadliest toxins. Ammonia we called as a midday murders. Hydrogen sulfide we called as midnight murders. Both are completely related to this toxicity, completely related to the pH. So once the pH is high, ammonia is toxic. When pH is lower with low oxidation profiles, we have hydrogen sulfide issues. Next one, sir. So why these reasons? The reasons behind this, majority of the reasons behind, don't want to make more detailed on pathogenic issues. I want to discuss about more with system defaults like running mortality, white feces, and running this white gut necrosis and all. We would like to discuss. Yes. Mainly, the majority of the shrimp farms constructed are almost like more than 10 years. Majority shrimp farms are constructed on more than 10 years. 10 years. So this we called as aged ponds. The aged ponds, always the carrying capacity will be decreasing year by year, and most the humus has settled in the mud. I'm mainly talking about earthen ponds. These earthen ponds, every year that some part of humus has settled in the pond bottoms, like 12 to 20 inches deeper also the humus has been settled. So these aged ponds, we are not properly prepared for the pond preparations and all. This will give you a lot of disturbance in during the cycle period, culture period. Next one. And moreover, majority areas farmers taking in-source waters also more issues, because majority source water has heavy organic loads like high TSS, high TDS, and some toxins issues and some bacterial issues also. We have some pathogens issues also we have. So this is also one big reason for the farm failures. So first one is aged pond. The second one is heavy organic loads. Next. And third one is the lack of pond preparations. Mainly, some farms not much taking care about the pond preparation, because pond preparation is the key for the success of crops. Because after harvesting, generally what we do, we just generally majority farmers just scrap the ponds and just immediately they go for stocking. Some they do not consider about drying also. So these all conditions we can comes under lack of pond preparation, not drying, not plowing, and not taking taking care of the soil pH and everything. So these are all we should be considered. Next ones. And the second, the most thing is the poor water quality. This I would like to take much time regarding this topic, main quality of the water. Generally, particularly Middle East countries, actually this topic will continue in the question and answer session, but I would like to just giving some brief information. Water quality is the major key concern for the profit of the farm, because we know our genetics, our brood genetics, we know our feed quality. So both are very good side. But when your pond water quality is not much that efficient, definitely either brood or feed cannot match to our goal, because the animal can sustain in the quality of the water. That's why we called as a aquaculture is nothing but culturing the water. So the species, whatever the species, should be sustained in that particular quality of water. That is the most important factor in the farming sector, shrimp farming sector. Next one. So next thing, the third one is underestimating the carrying capacity, because many farmers, they doesn't know about their farm carrying capacity. Like, why we can take like aged ponds, water sources, pond preparations. These are all considered, but they don't not much aware on the carrying capacity, means stocking densities. Without any proper preparation, source water information, and aged pond information, they're going to stock high densities. At the one stage, definitely they're losing their crops, because the pond does not support the stocking densities. Mainly, you are losing your water quality. That is the biggest threat for the farming practice. Next ones. And this is a very common and very significant this thing, biosecurity. Biosecurity is very common for any species, even for humans or whatever it is. Biosecurity is major issue. We have to take care about the farm operations, like we have to take care of the crabs, we have to take care about other predators coming into the site, and we have to take care about the internal transfer of disease, like vertical or this thing. So biosecurity also one issue. Majority farmers are not caring about the biosecurity issues. So these are all the things that majority influence your profit. So now we are going to talk each one we have to talk about. So these are all problems. If you can say any problem, the major one source of the problem is going to be one source, that is called stress. If you're failing with your aged ponds, if you're failing with your pond preparation, if you're failing with water quality, whatever it is caused, the stress. Because shrimp is very sensitive, and it's immediately go under stress with any small fraction of parameter disturbance. It's going under stress. Once you see the stress animals, definitely they lose the appetite. The feeding observation, you can see the feeding observation has dropped, and we can see the different abnormal behavior of shrimp moving activities. So the stress is the main problem. So why the stress it comes? So the when you are coming to back to the main source is your sludge is your stress. Because without any culture, you just keep water and leave it for 1 month. After 1 month, you drain the pond. You can see the lot of bottom. There is a anaerobic layer has been formed on the pond bottom. That is we called as a dead algae or other living animals, dead living animals in the water that settled on the pond bottom. That's we called as a sludge. That is what generally we called as organic matter. The latter organic matter decomposes into sludge. So sludges is the major stress. This we discussed about the last 5 factors. All 5 factors influence to the sludge. First thing, aged ponds. Once you put the water, the humus coming back into the water through the water pores, and source was carrying a lot of organic loads also create the sludge. And even not properly prepared your pond bottom, pond preparation also takes care about the sludge. These are all factors influencing your sludge. So the water quality also destroyed with sludge. So sludge is your enemy. So sludge is enemies. Your animal streams biggest enemy is sludge. Next one. So where the sludge comes from? Generally, we discussed more on this main topic, because if you can manage your pond without proper operations, definitely you lose your crops. So the sludge coming from different factors. Next ones. Generally, the organic matter decomposition, the algal crush. Generally, we see every farmer during the crop, they see at least 1 or 2 time algal crush. And most second thing is the feed wastage, and the third one is fecal matter, and the fourth one is molting shells. So these are all going under organic and organic matter decomposition process by heterotrophic bacteria. The heterotrophic bacteria either be pathogenic or useful. Then we call as a probiotics or vibrio, both any bacteria we can consider as a heterotrophic bacteria. The main function of heterotrophic bacteria is to decompose the organic matter and that release inorganic nitrogen and inorganic carbon. So this all leads to DO depletion, negative oxidation reduction potentiality, and anaerobic pathways that makes more pathogenic activity. And from the pathogenic activity, we'll get some more toxin gases, and the final result we will see either mortality or slow growth. So sludge is the major influence your shrimp culture, mainly particularly talking about the shrimp, because when other competing the other animals, shrimp is more sensitive and is immediately influenced by the stress factors. So these are all the stress factors like DO depletion, toxic gases, more like negative RP, pathogenic activity, toxic. These are all influence your shrimp either growth or survival. Next ones. So this is generally your pond situation. We keep aerators and we are stocking shrimp and we are giving some feed and everything and some we are giving some lime and dolomites and on the basis of your organic loads the plankton grows and simultaneously some bacteria grow simultaneously. So what happens when your shrimp farming starts? The first 35 days there is not much differences in your system. Once after 35 days, slowly the organic matter organic matter loads are increasing with plankton crash, feed increasing, and input water organic loads. These are all makes more organic loads in the pond bottoms. So once the organic loads started, the bacteria start decomposing and they release the NH4 and carbon dioxide. These two directly influence your phytoplankton. After 35 days, you can see your plankton growth rapidly develops. Like sometimes you are seeing thick green colors in the ponds. Mainly when the stocking densities are little higher than like 30 pieces density. After 35 days, you can see the high plankton blooms because of in general phenomena, organic load decomposition is very fundamental fact in any water bodies, sir. Either it's shrimp culture or general water bodies also. The organic matter decomposition is the primary function by the bacteria. That is particularly I'm talking about the heterotrophic bacteria. So once you have the organic inputs, like feed is organic input, like organic nitrogen and organic carbon. Even plankton has organic nitrogen and organic carbon. So the dead cells, everything goes to the pond bottoms. Some are settled in the pond bottoms. We called as an uh, particulate organic matter. Some are dissolved in the water that we call as dissolved organic carbon. So these are organic matters. These both on these different bacteria are sustains. Suppose if it is a suspension area, some organic, some bacteria, particularly oxidizing bacteria, settles with the suspended particles. Some settled one, there is another separate pathogenic bacteria starts growing on that. So once the organic matter settles in the bottoms, we called as an anaerobic pathways. That means anaerobic patches, because they once the this particular organic matter settles in the bottom, the contact between the water and the soil will be stopped, and oxygen cannot reach it to the particular point. So immediately some bacteria grow on, particularly in anaerobic conditions, we called as an anaerobic bacteria. That function is quietly different than the aerobic functions, sir. So in the pond, there is both aerobic function and anaerobic functions are both in the pond itself. So generally, the aerobic conditions wise, we can see ammonia and carbon dioxide. When you're coming to the anaerobic, generally they take oxygen from the sulfates, nitrates, means SO4, NO3, and carbon dioxide. These are all inorganic compounds. So they take oxygen from the sulfates. What happens? They immediately release the sulfur into the system. When they're taking oxygen from the nitrate NO3, they release nitrogen. When they're taking oxygen from the carbon dioxide, they release carbon. But when your system does not have sufficient oxygen in the pond bottom layers near to areas, generally there is an hydrogen ion availability is more in this particular zones, particularly near just a few centimeters above the pond sedimentation layer. Once these inorganic substances release into the water, if it is oxygen available, they become again convert into sulfates. They convert into carbon dioxide. Again, they convert it into nitrate or nitrates. But if it is not oxygen available in that particular layer, they immediately interacted with hydrogen ion. That makes again the formation of hydrogen sulfide, again the form of ammonia, and again by the form of methane, CH3. But methane is less influence on your animal, but hydrogen sulfide is more deadliest. That's we called as a silent killer. This is all happens after 35 to 45 days. So when you're seeing some animals floating on the dead animals floating on the surface, that is caused by the ammonia. That is called generally in the daytime around 3 p.m. to between 1 o'clock to 3 p.m. with high radiation, with high photosynthesis. The plankton completely takes the carbon dioxide from the system and makes more higher pH values in the pond upper pond area. So when the pH is getting higher, the NH4 immediately converts into NH3. That is we called as unionized ammonia. That is more toxic, and immediately shrimp got die. Particularly when you after heavy rains, generally you can observe after heavy rainfalls, we could see there is algal crash, feed waste, and everything. During this time, the more decomposition process going occurs, and the more ammonia is going to be present. Once again sunlight comes with a higher brightness and higher radiation, once your pH shoot up, you could see a lot of sudden mortality is ammonia. That is also we can see as a ammonia mortality. We can see the floating dead animals, red dead animals on the surface of the water. When you're seeing some animals in the feed trays or near the aerators area, that is caused by the hydrogen sulfide, because these two are interrelated with the pH. When the pH is high, ammonia is more toxic. When the pH is lower, hydrogen sulfide is more toxic. That's why we call as a midnight murders, because during the night respiration process, the more carbon dioxide accumulated in the pond itself, and immediately carbon dioxide converted it into hydrogen ions. So more hydrogen ion available, you could see the lower pH areas. So when the pH is lower, hydrogen sulfide toxicity is more. So that's also makes more dead animals in the check trace, and we are losing the survivals. And sometimes this influence on the growth. Suppose if the levels are lower, but influence the growth. So these all we have to relate at this. Mainly for the successful farm, you have to maintain a balanced phytoplankton bloom. That is the first key factor for the successful. And if you are able to maintain your phytoplankton to throughout the culture period without algal crash, even a single algal crash, cannot make any single algal crash, your farm is 100% profitable. Because along with the feed, one algal crash makes your pond bottom more detroit. That means your pond bottoms more organic loads. So definitely you are facing anaerobic pathways, and at the same time aerobic process, you are getting more ammonia. Generally what happens in the systems, many people saying that probiotics can save the pond aquaculture, but I am with my experience telling that probiotics can mix, but excess probiotic application definitely spoil your culture. With practically we proven in many areas like India, Sri Lanka, and other countries, even Belize, we are using very small quantities of probiotics per acre. We are going to use only 280 grams probiotic for the crop per acre. per crop, we are using only 280 grams with probiotics. Even if it is not direct application, we are using with symbiotic concept that we are mixing prebiotics and probiotics and fermentation for brewing for 48 hours. That then we can then filter the particular mixture and we apply the pure juice. So we are not directly applying any probiotics in the systems. So excess probiotics also can create the majority of the issues because probiotic function is organic matter decomposition. That means they're taking care of the organic nitrogen, they're taking care of the organic carbon. So in the decomposition process, the byproducts are inorganic nitrogen. That means NH4. It is a nutrient. Everybody should understand that NH4 is a nutrient and carbon dioxide is a energy source. With this NH4 and carbon dioxide, your plankton blooms are rapidly growing. Once the plankton blooms are rapidly growing, the main photosynthesis function that produces a lot of oxygen and that removing the carbon dioxide means your pH gain going to be higher, higher, higher. Generally, pH should be checked at the time of between 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. That is the right time for checking the pH. That gives you entire whole scenario. Once your pH is above 8.2 means your system doesn't have any carbon dioxide. That means your pH going to be very high fluctuates. So once there is no hydrogen ion in the system means your ammonia immediately for the they converts immediately into NH4 to NH3. NH3 is a gas. We have to understand that NH4 is a nutrient, NH3 is a gas, but the time fraction is very small because within the short time with high pH and high temperature, NH4 converts into NH3. That makes you more deadliest toxic in your pond situation. Shrimps sometimes they lose immediately the exposure. If it is exposed to more than 3 to 4 days, they cannot release out from the body. They cannot release ammonia from the body. So they got the system getting default and they got die. This is the most important factors applying probiotics. Everybody should understand probiotic can save the system, means improve the water quality, but excess probiotics definitely makes you more trouble in the systems. Because generally everybody is saying that when you're applying ammonia, you apply probiotics. Yes, with organic carbon and ammonia, probiotics can makes them more bacterial cells that we call the bacterial biomass. But what happens after the more bacterial biomass? Again, they decompose the organic matter. So again, you are producing more ammonia. Again, you are producing more carbon dioxide. This directly influences our phytoplankton blooms. Once phytoplankton bloom crash within 1 day, that means your single day, your pond getting more than 1 ton of feed equivalent to. So you have to understand this phytoplankton influence on your culture. If you're a successful or profitable farmer, the main concept is balance the phytoplankton blooms with some small techniques we have used here that we called as a dilution process. Mainly, particularly shrimp farms are constructed on coastal areas with a bit of like 30%, 40% sand. Definitely you see a lot of seepage issues, sir. And particularly in Middle East countries, they can see a lot of sunlight and high radiation system. So the evaporation and the seepage, these two are the more system default factors, seepage and evaporation. So generally, if you see some ponds, we are losing 4 inches within the day. So that means you are losing 4 inches of water within the day means your water getting more concentration with ions. That means if the even plankton concentration getting higher, your salinity getting higher, and your pH automatically getting more fluctuates because of high planktons and these things. So dilution process makes you more comfortable, particularly to balance the phytoplankton blooms. So every day you keep on pumping. What we are doing practice is every day we are keep on pumping some water, at least 1 inch, 2 inch. So that means your water getting dilute and your phytoplankton not getting more higher with this thing, and your water viscosity getting lower. So this is the general function. What happens in your system means this is the basic function happens in your pond itself. Next slide. So what can we overcome these issues? Definitely, sir. Definitely. With small management practices, we can overcome majority problems. We can overcome. Next slide. So these are the things we have to make: the pond rehabilitation, pond preparation, advanced aeration design, sludge management, water intake system redesign, and aquamimicry farming practices. What we call is a symbiotic practices can makes lesser than your troubleshoots and make more profits on your systems. Next ones. So this is the general we are taking care of. Here we are taking care of more water gets sediment in the before we are taking water. The water should be sediment in the more areas. That helps lots to control your organic load from the source water, and you can control your turbidity, means NTU values. You can control your NTU values. So this, when you're taking time, your water getting more less suspended solids and less dissolved solids, that can carry more oxygen, and that can helps lot to maintain balanced parameter structure with balanced this thing. So the system redesign is more important. And the second thing, pond rehabilitation. After every crop, try to dry it, plow it, and according to the soil pH, you have to adjust your soil pH with a lime or some other things to balance your soil pH. And when you are making more pond preparation, makes getting more cation exchange capacity, soil getting more cation exchange capacity. That helps a lot during the cycle period, because once you taken the water means your soil influence more than on your water. So soil preparation is more important. And after that, coming to the pond preparation means water preparation. During the pumping time, try to make more chain dragging. That is helps you lot, because we cannot fill any pond within 24 hours. Even if there is a 1 acre site or even half-acre site, we cannot fill within 1 day. So definitely it takes some period. Suppose if you take 4 or 5 days, the first day you put some water, off with water, directly sunlight touches your pond bottom, and there is a chance of developing benthic algae that we call lab. Once the lab formation, your main algae cannot sustain in the system. So that's why we, during the pumping time, prefer chain dragging. And during the pumping time, you try to apply some ratios of fermented rice bran to makes more turbidity. At the same time, the more bacterial activity can makes availability of small amount of ammonia can support your phytoplankton booms. So this is the main key things. Is one is pond preparation, water preparation, and the second thing, after water filling, you take minimum 24 days time, sir. That helps a lot to develop both uh, heterotrophic bacteria simultaneously. With the time period, you can they can grow autotrophic bacteria too. Once the system has autotrophic bacteria, your planktons never grow faster than the regular ones, because same autotrophic bacteria function is also same like phytoplankton theory, because they want ammonia, they want carbon dioxide. Ammonia as a nutrient source, carbon dioxide is a energy source. Once you balance these systems, your pond never get over blooms, your pond never get high pH fluctuations and all. And this helps a lot to balance your system. That's why we call it as a mixotrophic system. But for the mixotrophic system, at least you have to wait minimum 24 days after pond filling. During these 24 days, we keep on applying rice bran in the different, I mean, weekly once or weekly twice, and making more chain dragging, and you create more some space for the autotrophic bacteria too. For this, rice bran creates more space for the autotrophic bacteria as a suspended levels we can make it. And you could make in chain reaction that never happens any benthic algae issues. So your algae blooms will be stable. And during the time of stocking, you can sure that the pond pH lesser than 8. If because initial days it only the phytoplankton, carbon dioxide, so availability is lesser, so pH will be going higher side because there is no animals. Only plankton can take release oxygen in the day. They release carbon dioxide in the nights. So there is not much competition for the oxygen in the night. So your pH will not be always be like 8.1, 8.2. Generally, when you are stocking time, your pH are 8.2, 8.2. In general, I'm talking about many farmers according to the data. But if you can maintain that particular during the before stocking, you have to maintain your pH 7.8. Definitely your farm majority 90% your farm get profitable, sir. That's for that you have to take minimum 24 hours time period. And during the culture, general practice I'm talking about, many farmers does not prefer to fill the water after filling the water once they fill the pond, but keep on pumping from the day one to harvest, keep on pumping at least some water. That means we are making waters more dilution. That is the key for one of the key for the successful profit farm management. And the third one is try to implement shrimp toilet systems in any of our pond. That is one of the best thing because you can reduce your anaerobic pathways. If there is no shrimp toilet, you have more anaerobic pathways. That means you are making more anaerobic bacterial activities more in the system, and you are losing. They're producing a lot of hydrogen sulfides, ammonia and methane. But if you have a shrimp toilet system, you can reduce your anaerobic pathways. Yeah, because every day, if you can properly design your aeration and shrimp toilet, you can remove more organic matter from the sludge or organic matter from the pond bottom. Means there is less pathogenic activity and less availability of ammonia and carbon dioxide of the plankton growth. So you can maintain a stable plankton, and you are maintaining lesser pathogenic anaerobic pathways. That is shrimp toilet and which make removing the sludge with the pumps. These are the main thing, and bottom aeration also one of the best remedy, because during the daytime if you can run the aerators, what happens, they flush the carbon dioxide out from the pond along with the photosynthesis. They're taking carbon dioxide. At the same time you're removing the carbon dioxide with during the daytime you're applying more fluctuation, so your daytime pH going very high. So generally, what our practice is, generally we don't use pedal wheel aerators during the day. We prefer the bottom aeration, like grit aeration, like blower aeration. That makes not much creating not much flux in the system, but they create uniform resuspension of the organics, resuspension of the water, and some toxins get oxidized during this resuspension. So these are the things what we have observed in the systems. So rest we have discussed more regarding this in the question and answers. These are the fundamental things what we observed, and I'm just sharing my knowledge, sir. Next one, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, VJ, for all of that information. It is much appreciated, and thank you very much for going in depth on all of that. Okay. So we're going to move on to the questions from the crowd. These are all user submitted, and these are going to be the highlights that you guys really wanted us to hit on. So why don't we just begin? Farming in desert conditions. VJ, how about you take this one?
Yes, that's why I have skipped many some points regard, because we have to discuss more at farm desert conditions. Mainly, generally in the desert condition, farms are built on sandy soils. That is the first concern we have to check. This means your soil in the structure of your soils is more than 60% sand. your seepage is higher, sir. That is one of the biggest challenge for desert conditions. And the second thing is the desert condition, the radiation is very, very high. Sun radiation is very, very high. That helps a lot of photosynthesis factors in the ponds. With seepage and evaporation and high photosynthesis rates, within 25 days, your ponds getting more thick green colors. That is the first observation everybody have to observe, that these things. And moreover, there is when there is this kind of situations, your pH going to be sometimes going to be, particularly between 45 to 60 days, your pH going to be very high, because with high photosynthesis rate and a high remove of carbon dioxide, and lot of ammonia will be converted as an ammonia, and you see the lot of mortality, sudden mortalities we have observed. But after that, there is sudden algal crash happens because of the density of algae going high, means definitely they can die, because the time period of algae is very less. They grow, they die, they grow, they die. What happens if they die? They makes more anaerobic pathways, and after 60 days, this you can see suddenly the ponds getting more turbid with either with dead all the suspended solids or something. You can see the lower pH portion also. That makes you hydrogen sulfide issues in the desert condition. First 60 days, high ammonia issues. After 60 days culture, you can see hydrogen sulfide issues. So for this, I cannot say you go with 100% liner, but even with the earthen ponds, your pumping capacity should be more higher than you have to focus more higher in pumping capacities. Generally, in the earthen ponds, we don't need much pumping comparing with the sandy soils, because sandy with the seepage and evaporation, you have to keep pumping water. The water level should not be dropped at any point of view. That is the first success you have to get it, because everybody knows that their seepage levels, and you see sometimes they're losing more than 6 inches waters in the desert conditions. With evaporation, sometimes your water colors make like a parrot green color. That means you are facing higher bio blue green algae issues. After suddenly they crash, you can see the dinoflagellate issues. So you cannot control your pH, because it's going like a swing, sir. Within the 24 hours, you can see there are a lot of fluctuations in the pH fluctuations, because of you have to if you cannot balance your water levels, definitely this will happen. And mostly, I don't know whether they have the shrimp toilets or not, but if you can make a shrimp toilets, definitely we can avoid some kind of hydrogen sulfide issues, and we can control some portion of ammonia issues. So first of all, we have to, and moreover, if you go with chlorination process, definitely you cannot fulfill your ponds at any cost. Your expenses are going to be very high with chlorination. In these conditions, better this thing, at least you have to maintain some sedimentation, more sedimentation with the liners. At least for this, reservoirs, you have to maintain liner ponds, and your pumping capacity is double than the regular culture. That is first fundamental thing. So because you have to keep on pumping your waters to maintain the water levels. If you are maintaining water levels, and every day you have to balance your meal, you cannot see any algal crash during the culture times. So these are the major factors what we have to observe. And moreover, if you're not daily pumping the water, your salinity go shoot up, sir. Suppose if you're during the stocking time, you are maintaining 30. With evaporation and with the seepage, what happens? Your concentrations getting, ion concentrations getting more. According to Dr. Boyd's, within 1 month, if you're not pumping regularly, the pH 34 goes to 41 also, sir. But you're keeping pumping water, it cannot more than 30 to 34. That is the one best practices what we observed. Keep on pumping water, your salinities never get higher more than 35. So that's what we call as a dilution process. For this references, if you want, Mr. Robert can share you the equation, how the water pumping and salinity balance. I can share with Mr. Robert. He will share with you within the next few days. So the
Yeah.
salinities are more
Absolutely.
because once your salinities are getting higher, the ionic imbalance and everything, the ionic stress and everything gets higher. Sometimes you cannot lose the animals, but your growth will be stunted because of imbalance of ionic and what you call they cannot release some things from the body itself. Osmoregulation process also getting more the system default osmoregulations. So this is the main thing. pH due to higher planktons and lower water levels makes your water salinity more higher. So because of many farmer does not care about pumping the water. So that is first default in the system. Making dilution. Definitely you can see the best results with the dilution process. So the desert condition, the major key things are high plankton blooms, high pH, and high ammonia toxicity and high salinity. You can lose the animals, and you can lose the growth factor. Sometimes with higher plankton crashes, there is a sudden chances of Vibrio outbreak in the systems because your anaerobic patches are more and anaerobic bacteria grows very fast than your heterotrophic this your probiotics. So sometimes you can see sudden mortality with vibriosis. So these are the conditions what we observed in the desert areas.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, VJ. Definitely some very good points there, and he does make a good note. Any other questions or information, we will have a little bit of a write-up afterwards that we're going to be sending out. So if you guys missed anything, no worries. All the information will be shared to you all. Okay. Next, hatchery processes and developing high-quality larvae. Barry, how about you handle this one?
Thank you, Robert, and everyone. So if we talk about the hatchery, actually there is two main issue. One is water quality, and then second is nutrition. And then on the operation, we can separate into two big operation, two separate, two different. One is maturation, and then one is larva culture, right? So maturation is regard to the spawning and then hatching rate. We talk about fertility, mating rate, and fertility. So this is related to two things: nutrition and water quality. So when you have the water quality, especially with our broodstock, water quality and the nutrition, first, what I see is the quality and the quantity of the feed. So polychaete is play a very important role, and then also squid, and then also some dry feed. But the polychaete quality is one cannot be should be fulfilled with the brood. So is from the experience that that we see that the live polychaete is one of the best nutrition for the broodstock, especially regard to maturation. And then if you get sufficient nutrition or in the good condition, so you will get the next issue is the knobs quality. So when you harvest the knobs, we know that the knobs is photosynthesis positive. So when you harvest strong knobs, and then it's very related to your larvae culture, and then that one nutrition and then water. Okay, when the water you don't maintain like a temperature, salinity too high, they don't spawn, and then they don't hatching also the hatching rate, and then also like if your water is not clean enough, so sometimes the hatching rate is very low because of the sperm cannot enter the eggs, cannot penetrate the eggs because it's covered by some bacteria or something. And then in larviculture, you have to play the very good protocol, And then another thing in the larviculture is very important is the algae. So there is a different type of algae, but normally that what we see that very appropriate with our animal is Thalassoria, and then with a good density, with a good quality, because our animal is eat more. This is the first milk like a human, the baby milk. So if the quality is good, it's also related to the next stadia, like Zoya and then Mysis and then PL. So basically, so when we go do the basis thing, like water quality and then the nutrition, so we will get the high quality of larvae and then the high quality of PL. And then you will see that the compare that I have data with the another brood stock, that we see that in our larviculture that our survival rate is like 15 to 20% better rather than others. Maybe that one, Robert.
Great. Thank you very much, Barry, for that. Okay. Size variation and how to control it. Who would like to answer this one?
Robert, let me pick up this question, right?
Perfect.
For the size variation, it's a very high variables, right? Depend on what determine of the size variation. But based on my experience, normally size variation coming from the stress condition of the water quality and also some of the disease like the white fecal disease and also the EHP. But if you don't have this kind of condition, somehow the size variation also coming and appears on the pond. Based on my experience, right, to overcome this size variation issues, you need to really look on your nutrition, right? Give a good quality of the feed. That's the first thing. And the second one, don't jump too quickly on your feed size, right? I got so many experience in the farm where people start to jump too quickly on the feed size, right, resulting the size variation coming maybe in a DOC up to DOC 60 to 70. But with a very good quality of the feed and also good quality of the waters, and also you are if you want to go a bit detail on the feed size, right, you can overcome this issue. But trust me, if you don't have a very good quality of the waters, you don't have the good quality of your nutrition, and also you don't have the quality of your waters, and also the some disease coming in like EHP and also the white fecal disease, the size variation is will appear. So it's a very important for you to check on the very detailed basis of everything. There is no harm on it, because not only you get the good very low size variation, also you will get very good biomass as well if you look at this condition. But the things that people always forget is about they really want to jump very quickly on the feed size, but we have to understand that when you check your feed tray, that's the very good sample to look at the size variation. If you are confident to jump or to use the bigger size of the pellets or your feed, don't do it, right? Because a big shrimp could eat the small feed, but the small shrimp cannot eat the large pellet. So it's very important. I think first look at the disease first. You don't have EHP and white fecal disease. Second, work really hard to maintain your water quality, like VJ explained very thoroughly today, and also look at the feed size and put some of nutrition, right? You can put probiotic maybe on your feed, maybe you want to put astaxanthin and this kind of thing, antioxidant and this kind of things, right? It will if you it will give you a fantastic result and also very low size variation. That's based on my experience, Robert.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Gary. You mentioned water quality a lot, so water quality consistency. I think
Yes,
Vijay,
sir.
you're
This I will take the water quality consistency because particularly when the desert conditions, I have to forget to one thing. I have to forget one key point. They have some extra plant weeds also develops in during the pond preparation times, like filamentous algae also sometimes develops because of if the pumping capacity is lower, you're taking long time to fill your pond without any pond bottom disturbance. You can see the filamentous algae issues. This is also one of the biggest problem in the water quality issues and the water for the consistency. So keep on what we discuss, keep on pumping water and applications of some kind of dolomite that also helps to maintain plankton blooms. And before, once you stock fill the ponds, once it reaches half-foot water level, try to apply some feed, sir. Like per acre, you can go with 50 to 100 kg feed before stock during the pond preparation. And along with your application of some fermented rice bran with probiotics, this helps to create some nutrient like ammonia can support your plankton bloom during the pond preparation. That is also one key concern for this thing. And try to maintain blooms should not, your transparency should not lesser than 30 and should not more than 40, 50. That is the thumb rule for water consistency. If your water satiety reading lesser than 30 means your water getting more turbidity. If your water transparency is more than 40 means you have very less algal population that creates develops of lab or filamentous algae in the systems. So you have to always check with small instruments like disk. You have to maintain disk readings every time. You have to keep record of disk readings. At the same time, you have to the primary production means the plankton production is the main concern for the secondary production. Secondary production is nothing but a fish or shrimp or whatever it is. If our primary productions are more stable, your secondary production is more comfortable. That is also fundamental key thing we have to observe. And moreover, uh, particularly in some countries, they're doing tilapia also. There are also some issues like ammonia. Due to ammonia, they're losing so much animal tilapia losses. According to some sources, I gathered that they loses with high ammonia issues with tilapia also. They sometimes fails because of the sudden algal crash. So very common happens algal crash in these conditions, desert conditions. Because if you see excess foam happens, means there is a algal crash issues happening. That is the primary symptoms that you can observe when you're running your aerators. The foam getting more occupy the more pond area. That means your algae getting crash. Algae getting crash means in the algae, the organic carbon directly enters into our waters. When organic carbon is more higher with aeration friction, you can see the foam issue. That is the fundamental first thing you have to observe. If there is any foam issues happens means definitely there is an algal crash issue. So after algal crash, we can see suddenly after 4 days, 5 days, you can see the white feces issue and white muzzle issues and necrosis issues. So your observations are more important at pond sites. And moreover, these conditions don't go with higher stocking densities. My sincere advice with higher seepage ponds, don't go with higher stocking densities because if it is higher stocking densities, your feeding rate is higher. Your feeding rate is higher means your organic decomposition is higher. With the organic, same thing, organic decomposition, your ammonia uh, production is very higher. Sometimes you can see sudden blooms are developing within 1 week. You can see sudden bloom develop, and after few days there is sudden collapse of bloom also. So for the water consistency, you have to consider your soil structure, your pumping capacity, and your stocking densities. These are the most important. Along with this, your pond size is also more important, sir. If the pond size is bigger, you have to take more time to fill the water. So that's also makes more troubleshoots in the system. When the pond, so in that cases, your stocking density should be lesser. When the pond size is lower with liners, okay, we can go with higher densities. That is not a big deal. But earthen ponds with higher, bigger pond sizes, better go with moderate densities is recommendable here. So this all depends on the water quality, all depends on your feeding rates and plankton rates. This is the fundamental things we have to observe. Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, Vijay, for that. Animal welfare and ablation. Barry, I think you have some information on this for us.
Yeah. We know that this is like 3 years now, until now, is become an issue that our customer in Indonesia and Malaysia already try to do this non-ablation. The difference is depend on your planning of production. Because like one of my customer that they're planning to get 2 million knobs a day, it's normally can get by the ablation like 150 females. Yeah, we calculate like a mating rate like 10 to 14% from the female population, and then the hatching rate we can say that 50 to 80%. But when they do non-ablation, they cannot get stable the production with that numbers, because it should be double or triple of the female population. So because when you use non-ablation, when they spawn and then the female refill the eggs, it takes longer time. From the data that I have, if ablation can refill the eggs like 3 to 5 days, but non-ablation, every 7 days that they fill against the eggs, the gonad, and then it will be full by MT4 on the 7th day. So when the gonad full, it will be attract the male to mate, and then because of the number is not sufficient, so that's why become the mating rate, and then the fertility rate also at the end of knobs production is so low. Not like so when you go on ablation, you do normal do the production, and then you want to go to the non-ablation. So from our side, we suggest you take double or triple of the population of the female, especially. And then we know that it not need one pair to do that. So for us is you order less female, less male. Is it will we can match the numbers like you like, and then we can advise also about the calculate the production rate that you want. So for me, this issue already become debatable regarding the quality of the knobs and the PLs of the ablation and non-ablation. Some research, international research, said that non-ablation is better, but some say it's not so different. Some say from the experience, but so I said that it's all up to you, because also this welfare also still, especially for in Indonesia, I know that still debatable. But yeah, this issue will be go on, and then maybe one day that we only can do by non-ablation. So actually that the API is ready to serve you with the non-ablation, and then we can share the experience that the hatchery that already done it. Maybe that.
Great. Yeah, definitely going to be a hot button topic moving forward. So thank you very much, Barry. All right, last one we have here, sustainable farming without commercial feed. Vijay, I think you have some thoughts on this, so why don't you go? And I just want to note before you start, though, we have 3 minutes left in this scheduled presentation. I see a lot of questions in the comment section, which I think is great. We definitely want to get to a lot of these as well, because there's some good information out there. So Vijay, maybe we'll give us your brief on this, and then we'll move more into the user submitted questions during the chat.
Sustainable farming with commercial feed can possible with very, very low densities, sir, like 3 to 4 pieces densities. We can do that with the application of fermented rice bran and just filling, take care of water or this thing. We can make it, but the densities are lesser than 5 pieces. In the above 5 pieces, definitely we cannot maintain that much of natural food in the systems. The good thing with the fermented rice bran, they can create a lot of natural feeding things like zooplankton, like copepods, rotifers, and other things we can maintain in the system to develop shrimp. But the densities are very, very key factors. That is the most concern.
Great.
So that is my simple answer for these questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I know Vijay, you could go into it, but I want to make sure that we address some of these other questions that people are asking here as well. So let's see. Nasser asked, and this will be open for any of the speakers who want to answer it and participate. What should be the optimal water exchange in earthen ponds in a day? Do any of our speakers have any thoughts on that?
So the water exchange depends on your transparency. So that is most important. If you can maintain constantly, you maintain your water exchanges means levels maintaining all that does not need much this one. But if you don't have shrimp toilet system, definitely it at least once in a week you have to bake 30% of your water get exchanges, unless we cannot control the substances in the system, mainly particularly the heavy loads of suspended solids and dissolved solids. But if you have the shrimp toilet system, you can minimize the whole crop. You can minimize your water exchange like 10% for the whole crop. But without shrimp toilets, at least weekly once you have to make 30% water exchange. From the 22nd day, you have to start this process. Unless your water getting more what you call the ORP is getting negative side. So once the ORP getting negative, high suspended solids, your oxygen dissolving capacity will be decreased with the systems. Sometimes you can see some bacteria can develop, and you can see the hard shell disease also, hard shell issues also. Sometimes the shrimp cannot get mold with improper water exchange without shrimp toilet.
Great. Thank you, Vijay. Okay.
Yes.
Next question from Rayad. Fluctuation of pH usually associated with viral infection in cultured shrimp. So, how mentioned the pH range between 7.8 to 6.3? Rayad, maybe you want to clarify a little bit if you're still on the call, so we can directly answer what you're asking here. Or if you want to clarify a little bit on in the chat, also good as well.
So what is the question, sir? Could not understand properly.
Yeah. Fluctuation of pH usually associated with viral infection in cultured shrimp. So how mentioned the pH range between 7.8 to 6.3? And
the feed, generally they can sustain, the pH can sustain with these factors, sir, but we have to consider the toxic substances. That is most important, sir. The pH cannot make things not bad in the system, but the toxic substances like ammonia and hydrogen sulfide and nitrate. When your pH is a lower side, your toxins with the hydrogen sulfide and nitrate is very higher side. That means you're exposing to the lower pH with hydrogen sulfide and nitrate with more than 5 days. The mortality and other issues can influence. At the same time, more than 7.8 pH, between 8.59 sometimes, it is more toxic with ammonia issues. And at a higher pH, sometimes your gills get more, there is some harsh system happens in our gills, and the transportation of gases will be reduced in the system. So pH is not an issue, sir. We have to consider about the other factors like substances, toxic substances we have to consider.
Great. Okay. And Ray, if that answers your question, fantastic. If you would like more explanation or maybe a little bit of clarification, feel free to send us a WhatsApp message after this call, and we'll be happy to smooth over anything for you. Okay, Lokesh, you had your hand raised for a little bit, so I'm glad that we're going to get to your question here. Importance of feeding to shrimps via static feeder, moving feeder, or drone or manual, which is better for the process? I know that we have a automatic feeder at the farm in Florida. Do any of our speakers have any thoughts on this?
So the auto feeding system can makes more sense, but the problem is the size of the pond and the population of the thing is more important, because one auto feeder can gives a good result for 200 animals, 200,000 animals, like 2 lakh animals. One auto feeder is good, sir. So in the smaller ponds with the liners with the 200,000 animals is big, very good. When we are going to be bigger ponds, we need more auto feeders. That's going to be farm expensive more, and sometimes it's going to be very capex will be raised higher side. If you stocking 500,000, if you keep one auto feeder, definitely it makes more overwhelming, and you can see the some patches on the body with the that fighting for the feeding, and suddenly some portion they have sudden DO depletion can occurs in the systems. So ideal thing is auto feeder 200,000 animals, one auto feeder is ideal, but smaller ponds with liner ponds, it's more efficient than the earthen ponds.
Perfect. Okay. Ahmed, after how many hours do I start to feed the broodstock after receiving? And what is the amount of feeding until mating? You also ask about the difference between the fire dragon and the golden dragon line. I will be happy to go back to that slide and give you a little bit more information. But Barry, how about you give us a little bit of a recap on the feeding of the broodstock after receiving them?
All right. So during the first hour, is this the acclimation process? So we start with the acclimation process. So when you, after finish your acclimation process, I mean that you already take out the animal from the bag, and then they start maybe, you know, they swim around, and then maybe they willing because of the stress. So well, after 1 hour, we start to feed. We start to feed. Like you see in the video, we feed polychaete, but in very small amount. I mean, like, you know, they get one bite. So don't get shocked to the stomach, because they are tired on the long journey. So after that, you continue with the first 6 hour and then 12 hours. And then normally that my customer have a 6 time feeding programs. So 2 times with the polychaete. This is a normal condition. After the acclimation process or the quarantine finish, they will go to the 6 time feeding. 2 times polychaete, 2 times squid, and then 2 times dry feed. Normally set that like that, and in 24 hours. So regarding this, you increase normally after 6 hours. The second feed, they start with 5% of biomass, 5% of biomass, and then they still give polychaete. Don't force to give squid, because they will not eat, even more the dry feed. They will not eat. And then after like 24 hours, 48 hours, when you see the feeding response is good, you can start give small amount of squid, a very small. If they finish it, this is what we call feeding response. When you finish it, then you come into the program. So we have to discipline our brood stock with the feeding and the feeding time. And then we suggest that you do acclimation or quarantine with this situation with the water and the water exchange. One more thing, our broodstock would like to go clean. So our customer doing minimum 200% water exchange in 24 hours. So when you do the flow through, sometimes the flow through is along the way, and then sometimes flow through is like 100% in the morning and then 100% in the afternoon. So depend on your system. So we suggest to quarantine at least 21 days. When we said to our customer, there is a customer, naughty, they cannot wait, they ablate after 14 days. Because especially in Indonesia, our government, our quarantine section is obligated to release what we do with the broodstock after 14 days. But we still suggest on 21 days because we see that the customer do 21 days quarantine and after that they do a blade or they mating non-ablate, showing better result in the numbers of the quality and the quantity. And then after they mate, you can see like this. If you receive first broodstock from us, you will see that the male is quite late rather than the female. Even though actually the age of the male is older than the male. Normally is at least 2 weeks older that we send to you. But this still takes some time. For the first batch is normally we wait for the male. I can see that you can get knobs like 30 days. So in the beginning, in the 5 days, they learn, and then normally that 5 days after mating, we flush because the numbers of mating rate is so low, and then they will increase until you can get stock. Normally that the customer that we see, they get at least 1 million knobs, they will stop. But it's depend on your tank, larviculture tank. So sorry, I think that is my answer, Robert. And then we can
Great.
go to the golden night.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so let's go backwards in this presentation a little bit, and I'll go back to the slide I had about it. And more. All right. So, as I mentioned before, we have these two new lines, the API Fire Dragon. And so this one we are anticipating to do really well in India, basically environments that deal with disease and are just a little bit harder to culture in. It's our disease tolerant line. It performs best in lower densities. It handles environmental changes very well. Actually, we trialed this in Thailand, and earlier in the year, there was a big heat wave that hit Thailand. We saw mass pond failure amongst a lot of different genetic lines out there. However, when you looked at the API line, the Fire Dragon, 5% of ponds registered a failure due to this heat. And we're talking 40 degrees Celsius outside of the ponds, upper 30s inside the water. So extremely hot conditions. And yet our animals showed a hardiness that allowed them to survive through it. So we're very proud of that. And I look at the extremely high levels of astaxanthin, right? And I think I saw a comment about that. So, and that's something that's in their environment naturally, right? And what our animal has shown the ability to do is assimilate it very well. So any bit that you add into it via feed, our shrimp is showing the full benefit of that. And I know it's a very expensive addition to the final product, right? So you want to make sure whatever you're adding, and it's got to be the correct amount for based on the feed that you input. Our animal is showing the ability to take full advantage of that astaxanthin, right? So API Fire Dragon, very strong, very disease tolerant line. Our API Golden Dragon is going to be a more balanced line, right? Designed for higher densities. We think that this is going to be a very good line in China. However, if you take this Golden Dragon and put it in a lower stocking density, you will see very good growth and survival in it as well. What matters here is going to be water conditions and farming practices. So if you have the ability to do things very, very tightly and strictly, this is going to be an excellent animal for your conditions. It has a very good ease of mating and producing fast-growing larvae. So, as I said before, we anticipate this line being very good for China or anyone who can control all of their conditions to an extremely high level. At the end of this, I'm more than happy to share more information on these lines. As I said, these are our two new ones that we're debuting. So we have the ability to ship these out now if you feel that these animals could thrive in your situation, or if you want more information, absolutely, we can help walk you guys through it and make sure that we put the right animal in your pond and make sure that your conditions are going to work best for them. So, yeah, as I said, I can continue giving more information on that. After the call, please feel free to reach out. Okay, and I don't know how many more questions we have because I cannot see, but what we will do, and I want to make sure that we have this slide up here at the end. So if you have any questions moving forward, here is our API team's contact information. Barry, of course, is going to be our Indonesia representative. He also works with our friends in Malaysia. Durga Prasad is our India representative, and I am overseeing all Asian operations. So please reach out to any of us with any questions you may have. We're more than happy to help assist you guys as you try and reach the goals of ultimately being profitable farmers. So are there any other questions? I think we're all good here, right?
Yes, Robert, you can see in the chat, maybe I can say that one is any chances of WSSD and EHP through the feed in the system.
Yeah, I mean, any of the speakers want to lean in on that?
I don't know, Gary, maybe?
Hello.
Yep.
To the OSS EHP or the astaxanthin ones?
Yeah, and then maybe you can continue also the astaxanthin, because I know
Okay.
that Gary have experience with the astaxanthin, this red animal.
First, when we talk about astaxanthin, is one of the expensive feed additive, right? Everybody knows because yeah, the cost is not so low, right? But based on my experience, I'm using the astaxanthins, 10% of astaxanthins, right? With the fillers in the feed additive. So I can say the content of the astaxanthin is only 1% out of all the package, right? I only use 0.1 grams per kilograms feed uh, once time a day. So the cost is not so significant because we are using a very low rate. But based on research, right, the astaxanthin is 1,000 stronger than the vitamin C. So I don't think that we need a very high dose for the astaxanthin. So it's a very low ones, and I experienced through the colors and also the quality of the stream also very good. And yep, it's not so. It depends on what price you use on your astaxanthin, but it's not going to be too significant because we are using in the very low dose. But you have to use it and consistent every days, right? Once feeding time, 0.1 grams, and you check when you do the harvest, right? Don't check the stream when you harvest, but try to boil it and see the difference on the colors. We experience different colors when you use the astaxanthins. That's the normal level of the astaxanthins. 0.1 gram per kilograms once feeding time. That's what I use.
Great. Thank you, Gary. And there was one more question about WSSD and EHP through feed in the system. Maybe you have some thoughts on that as well.
WSSV is both of this disease that mentioned in the equation is crazy one, right? What spot also very dangerous, right? So normally, right, if the virus one, I found it very important to maintain your biosecurity, even though it's very difficult. I don't want to bullshit you, but maintaining the biosecurity is very difficult. Somehow, in one cluster of the farms, maintain if you are the only one who maintain the biosecurity, is sometimes it's not gonna very helpful. But related to virus, right? It depends on your immunity, right? First, biosecurity. Second, give the less stress into stream. A lot of ways to do it. Maybe you maintain a very good water quality. Maybe you lower the density and those kind of things. And I found out very unique case in Indonesia, mostly in the eastern coast of the Sumatra, right? Wet spot normally break out in the low pH. I don't understand why, but every time we find that the earthen pot with low pH, wet spot coming very easily, if as soon as maybe DOC 20. I experienced by my own self, right? But if you use the, but I got also one experience in Madura, Indonesia, right? All of the farms got the white spot, but I didn't get it. At the time, I used the high figure ones API. Yeah, it shows the resistance into the disease, and I saw as well the resistance into the white spot as well. But don't do any triggers to the white spot, because if you fail to maintain your biosecurity, fail to maintain your pH, it comes very easily. Right. Back to the fundamentals, back to textbook, right? You have to think really thoroughly. And unfortunately, the in the area that already endemic or the white spot, it's very difficult to fight white spot, right? So I think to reduce the stress of the stream is very important, right? Don't stock too high, right? For the white spot, there is no shame to stock in lower density. There's no shame, right? If you manage to get more profitability with the lower density, then you're smart enough. Yeah, there is no shame on stocking on the lower density. The second one, the EHP, right? EHP coming to Indonesia very suddenly out of nowhere and kills more than 60% of the farmers in Padang area, right? You may get your survival rate by 120, maybe 100, but when you go do the AHP, the loss is very crazy. But based on my experience, right, since this is the microspora, sporidia, it's not a virus, it's a bacterial, right? And also, there is not so much research on the EHP. Right now, what we do, uh, right now, we try to fight the EHP to delay the EHP coming in until the marketable size, maybe 70 counts per kilogram, 60 count per kilogram. Sometimes we cannot really avoid it, right? There is one cluster on my farm, right? 100% got EHP today, right? But the most important is try to try to reduce any other stress factor on the stream. Exactly, the first one is the density. Second one, the water quality, and try to put and more technical. I try to put acidifiers into the feed. Some things like the lactic acid, right, or acetic acid, right. It can delay the EHP up to 20 to 30 days, and we are talking about a significant difference of the size of the stream. And also, you need to check, do the PCR on your PLs, right? Sometimes the ESP coming from the hatcheries. It's very important to check, right? Do the PCRs. Maybe you can, if you can do the wet mount, but I'm not sure if it's a very small PLs, you can do the wet mount. But I consistently twice check the PCR on the EHP. Yeah, I cannot say 100% ESP free, right? But yeah, we experience a lot of AHP right now, but somehow we can sell it the product on a marketable size, more than 100 counts per kilograms. So at least, yes, I don't say that the margin is really good, but we still have the margins. Yeah, ESP is still a lot of equation right now, right? Because the research also is not as massive as the bacterial and also the virus right now, because it's something new, right? And so it's very new in Indonesia, right? Biofecal disease together with the AHP coming. Yeah, in my area, 90% people die from this disease, CHP and biofecal disease. Stop farming, right? But based on my experience, I just do whatever that I just explained, and it gave me a little bit advantage to fight the AHP. That's what my answer, Robert.
Thank you, Gary. Much appreciated. Gary, I see your comment. Vijay, perhaps you also have something you'd like to chime in on this?
No, sir. That's good enough, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like we said, any other questions moving forward, we'll be happy to reach out. You will be hearing from us. We'll send this recap, this recording of this entire call, so you can go back and go through this information on your own time at your own pace. Afterwards, you guys all also will be receiving a certificate saying that you completed an API Shrimp Farmer seminar on today's date. So be sure to look out in your inbox for those. It'd be awesome if we could print them out and post them on LinkedIn and WhatsApp and everywhere else you guys use to communicate your information so we can continue letting farmers and people along the value chain know that there's information out there. It's a free session, and we're more than willing to help answer any questions that you guys may have. So again, I want to thank you all very much for coming out here. Thank you very much for Aqua Indonesia for being our media partner. Hopefully we can continue to have more of these productive sessions. And yes, thank you all very much for attending. And we will see you at the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Robert.
everyone. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
Of course.
Oh, hey, you got the pet.
Thank you, Robert.
Yep, absolutely. No worries, guys. Stop the
And also to
recording.
Mr. Vijay.